The day I made my first million, I didn't call my family. 3 years earlier, my dad told me I'd never make it with that silly little game. I'm Madison Parker. And this isn't a revenge story. This is about taking back my own voice in a family that silenced me for 28 years. It all started with the Saturday night dinners at my parents' house. A 2-story place in the suburbs with an oak dining table that sat 8, where I always felt like I was on trial instead of with family. The judge was my dad, Brandon Parker, a retired engineer with a silver beard and the habit of peering over his reading glasses. Next to him was my mom, Michelle, a former elementary teacher with a bright smile that never quite reached her eyes when she looked at me. The successful kids had the seats of honor. Tyler, my brother, 2 years older, worked for the state tax office. His shirt was always perfectly pressed. Ashley, 4 years older, was a lawyer at a mid-level firm who talked about her cases like she was saving the world. And me? I sat at the far end, closest to the kitchen, easy to slip out when the air got too heavy. That October Saturday, I was 26, struggling with my online business idea, when my dad announced like a judge handing down a sentence, "Madison still hasn't found a clear path for herself." My stomach twisted, because it wasn't the first time he'd said it. Ashley gave a knowing smile and told the table, "I think Madison just needs time to grow up. Not everyone figures it out as fast as we did." Those words hit like a punch. Time to grow up? I was 26, with a college degree in hand, trying to build something of my own. Tyler nodded and added, "Maybe Madison should think about getting a steady job first." Online marketing sounds shaky. Right then, my body went rigid. They were talking about me like I wasn't even sitting there. "You know," my mom chimed in with fake concern, "I ran into Sandra at the store last week. She bragged her daughter just got promoted to head of accounting." I swallowed hard, hearing the message behind her words. "That's a real job," my dad said, nodding. "Steady paycheck, benefits, a future. Not like these experiments." He said experiments with a disgust that cut right through me. I pulled back, stunned at how my dream was just a test, while Tyler, pushing papers for taxes, was called a career. "Madison." Ashley turned to me, lawyer, voice in full swing. "I think you should apply at some big companies. With your degree, you'd have a shot." Her advice sparked a mix of anger and pain inside me. "I'm working on a project," I tried to explain. "It's an online marketing course for small businesses. I believe—" "Belief isn't enough, honey," my dad cut in. "Life's about security. Your mom and I spent $50,000 on Tyler's MBA because we knew it was a solid investment. And these, online courses." He trailed off, but the meaning was crystal clear. The second I heard that number, 50,000, my mind spun while my body froze. They'd funded Tyler's MBA, Ashley's law school, but when I asked for $3,000 to invest in a marketing program, the answer was not practical. Uncle Kevin, my mom's brother, picked that moment to weigh in. "Madison, you should be more realistic. Dreams are fine when you're young, but at some point you've got to grow up." That was the moment I truly understood the word lonely, sitting with family yet feeling like a stranger. I looked around the table. Tyler, cutting his meat with the smugness of being validated. Ashley was sipping her wine with that self-satisfied grin. My parents nod along to every word spoken against me. All I could hear was my heartbeat and the clink of silverware on plates. And I asked myself, is this the price I pay for wanting something different? In that instant, I caught a glimpse of a future where I wouldn't need anyone's permission to chase my dream. 6 months after that fateful dinner, Ashley announced her engagement to Marcus Thompson, a tax lawyer from a wealthy city family. The wedding was set for June at a lakeside resort with 300 guests and a $200,000 budget, of course, fully paid for by our parents. While Ashley was busy planning the big day, I was still grinding on my first online course. I'd finished most of the content, built a simple website, and even got 5 beta signups. But in my family's eyes, I was still Madison trying to figure herself out. The wedding day came with clear blue skies and bright summer Sunday. The lakeside resort looked like a work of art, dotted with white flowers and champagne gold accents. Guests were dressed to the nines, steady jobs, stable lives, socially approved success. I wore a navy dress I'd bought 3 years earlier, trying to blend in. But the second I stepped into the reception, I felt the judging looks and heard the whispers. The ceremony was smooth and romantic, Ashley glowed in a designer gown. Marcus looked sharp in a tailored tux. As they exchanged rings, I felt a twinge of envy, not for the marriage, but for the total acceptance Ashley got from everyone. The reception is where things went downhill. As people started finding their seats, I realized I was placed at table 12, the last table, near the kitchen, with Ashley's college friends I didn't know. Tables 1 and 2 were for family. Tables 3 through 6 for close friends and important colleagues. While looking for my seat, I heard Aunt Patricia tell a friend, "Madison still hasn't figured herself out. Nothing like Ashley and Tyler." At that line, my heart dropped. I realized I'd become the subject of family gossip. But the worst moment wasn't over. Once everyone had settled, my dad stood up to give a congratulatory speech. Brandon Parker, in a sharp gray suit, raised his champagne glass and began formally, "Today's a special day for our family. Ashley found her life partner and is starting a new chapter on a solid foundation." Applause followed. I clapped too, forcing a smile. "As the father of 3, I'm proud of each child's achievements," he continued. "Tyler, with a steady job at the state tax office, building a solid career. Ashley, with her law degree and role at Thompson and Associates, has proven herself. Though." He paused, looked toward me with a strained smile, and said, "And Madison, our youngest, is still finding the right path for herself." A chill ran down my spine. He'd just labeled me a failure in front of 300 people. The applause was thin. I felt the awkwardness in the air. People looked at me with pity or curiosity, like I was some odd exhibit. I got up and headed straight for the restroom, trying to hold my smile until I was out of sight. In the mirror, my face was flushed, and my eyes were already stinging. Worse, while I tried to calm down inside the stall, I heard my mom's voice from outside. "Patricia, I really don't know what will happen to Madison," my mom said, sounding worried. "Ashley and Tyler had clear goals since college, but Madison, she just keeps daydreaming." Aunt Patricia replied, "Michelle, maybe Madison needs a reality check. Maybe she needs to fail completely once to come back to reality." I'm afraid of that," my mom sighed. "Brandon and I tried to nudge her toward stable jobs, but she insists on that online business thing. We all know stuff like that never works." Hearing that made me tremble and boil with anger at the same time. They talked about me like I was a burden, a family disappointment. And the worst part? They did it on Ashley's wedding day, in front of all her friends and relatives. I sat on the toilet seat and buried my head in my hands. The first tears fell. 26 years. 26 years in this family, and they still couldn't see any value in what I was trying to build. They never asked about my course. They didn't care about my first signups. They didn't want to understand why I believed in this path. After about 10 minutes, I dried my tears, straightened my outfit, and returned to the reception. But things had changed. I no longer felt like I belonged. For the rest of the night, I endured the concerned questions from relatives. "Madison, what are you doing now, Cousin Taylor? Still fiddling with that computer thing? Uncle Kevin, when are you going to get a real job? Mrs. Henderson, a friend of my mom's." Each question cut a little deeper. I answered politely and vaguely, but inside I wanted to vanish. The peak of humiliation came when Ashley tossed her bouquet. All the single women gathered. I joined reluctantly. When Ashley threw the bouquet, I didn't even try to catch it. It landed in cousin Emma's hands. Emma, 22, a senior med student. With Emma catching the bouquet, people cheered. Someone shouted, "Emma's next!" As for Madison, maybe she should focus on a career first. Laughter broke out from a few people. I know they didn't mean harm, but every word felt like a hammer blow. In that moment, I felt the weight of my choices and the family's judging eyes. When the reception ended and guests began to leave, I hugged Ashley and genuinely congratulated her. After all, it was her day. But driving back to my small apartment that night, something shifted. A new resolve formed. In that moment, I knew this was only the start of a chain of events that would change everything, not just for me, but for this whole family. In July, a month after Ashley's wedding, I officially started going against every bit of advice my family had given. With $3,000 saved from a part-time job at a small accounting firm, I quit and put everything into building my first online course. My 400 square foot studio apartment on Capitol Hill became HQ, meeting room, and filming studio all in one. An IKEA folding table was my desk. A 5-year-old laptop ran everything, and a blank corner of the wall was my video background. The first days were full of energy and hope. I woke at 5 a.m., drank black coffee, and got to work. I split my day into blocks: mornings for content, afternoons for marketing and promotion, and nights for studying and market research. Week 1, I finished the first 2 modules: social media marketing basics. Week 2, I built the sales site and set up payments. Week 3, I launched my first ad campaign with a $200 budget. After month 1, I had 3 customers. 3 people trusted me enough to pay $199 for a course from someone they'd never heard of. The email confirming the first payment felt unforgettable. But reality ripped through my rosy illusions fast. Month 2 brought 2 more customers. Month 3 brought 1. Month 4 brought none. My bank balance dropped from $3,000 to $2,000, then to $1,500, then to $800. Once I realized the money situation was desperate, I had to find a part-time job to get by. Rosie's Diner, a small spot on Pine Street, hired me for the evening shift from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. at $8 an hour plus tips. That let me work on the business during the day, but I only slept 4 to 5 hours a night. Those days felt like a brutal loop. Wake at 5, black coffee and a peanut butter sandwich the only food until evening. 6 hours on the laptop, creating content, answering emails, updating the site. 2 p.m. I worked out at home to stay sane. 4 p.m. I prepped snacks and rested. 6 p.m. I went to the diner. At Rosie's, I served tables with a forced smile, wiped down booths, and washed dishes until 2 a.m. I'd get home, shower fast, and check email one last time before bed. Mostly spam and promos. In week 12, I hit my first real blow. A potential client in Portland showed interest in hiring me to do marketing for his bakery chain. We emailed back and forth for 2 weeks. I prepared a detailed presentation and even turned down a night shift to take the call. Right before the meeting, he emailed. They'd hired a big agency instead. Reason: we need a reliable partner with proven experience. Reading that, my heart dropped. 16 hours of prep felt like it got thrown in the trash. That was just the start of a streak of failures. In month 5, I put my last $600 into a Facebook ad campaign, hoping for a breakthrough. 2 weeks later, the campaign had 10 clicks and 0 conversions. $600 gone with nothing to show. After that failure, a deep despair started creeping in. Things got worse when I ran into someone I trusted who turned out to be a scammer. Derek Chen, no relation, introduced himself as a growth hacker from San Francisco who'd helped startups scale fast. He reached out on LinkedIn, offering to partner. I'll help you scale to 6 figures in 6 months. Just need an initial investment to run ads and build infrastructure. Derek had a slick LinkedIn profile, a nice website, and testimonials. Most importantly, he seemed to get my struggles and offered concrete solutions. After a week of talking, I agreed to send him $5,000 money. I borrowed on a credit card and a small loan from a college friend. Derek said he'd use it to set up a professional funnel and run ads across platforms. Week 1, Derek sent a detailed report with impressive numbers: 2,000 impressions, 300 clicks, 50 leads. I was hyped and thought I'd found the right partner. Week 2's report was still positive, but thinner. Week 3, he said he was optimizing the campaign. Week 4, he stopped answering calls and emails. When I realized I'd been scammed, I researched Derek. All the testimonials on his site were fake. Profile pics were stock photos, and his LinkedIn account had only been created 3 months earlier. $5,000, the biggest loss of my life, had vanished. The night I found out, I sat on my tiny kitchen floor and cried like a kid. Not just for the money, but for feeling so stupid and hopeless. How could I succeed in business if I couldn't even tell real people from con artists? Months 6 and 7 were the darkest. I worked at Rosie's every night, came home exhausted, and still tried to spend hours on the laptop. But my drive was gone. Every time I opened the computer, I saw failure, traffic down, low social engagement, no new inquiries. My 400 square foot studio started feeling like a prison. I ate instant ramen every day, turned off the AC to save on electricity, and avoided calling home because I didn't want to hear questions about my progress. College friends slowly stopped inviting me out because they knew I didn't have money. When I did see them, they talked about promotions, buying houses, and upcoming trips. I smiled and said, "That's great," while feeling like a failure. The low point hit one August night at 2 a.m. after a shift at Rosie's. I checked my bank account. $123. Rent next month was $800. In that desperate moment, I opened my phone and found my parents' number. My finger hovered over call. I pictured the conversation. "I'm sorry. I was wrong. I want to come home and get a real job." But then I remembered my dad's speech at Ashley's wedding, the pitying looks from relatives, and what my mom said in the restroom. If I called now, I'd just confirm everything they'd said about me. My grip on the phone tightened so hard my knuckles went white. Then I made a decision. I wouldn't call home. I wouldn't apologize for chasing my dream. I'd find a way to survive and keep fighting. The next day, I signed on for morning shifts at a nearby coffee shop, which paid $12 an hour. I sold my old TV, some jewelry, and even the guitar I'd had since college. In that moment, I glimpsed a future where these dark nights would be the foundation for a success story nobody expected. September came with Seattle's trademark rain, and my mood was just as gray as the sky. After 3 months of juggling 2 part-time jobs, I managed to cover rent and groceries, but my online business dream was basically dead. Every morning, I still opened my laptop, hoping for an email from a potential client. Instead, it was just ads and spam. My website was still up, my course videos still uploaded weekly, but the views were embarrassingly low. One Tuesday afternoon, I sat at Grind Coffee, the shop where I worked mornings using the free Wi-Fi after my shift. My usual corner table by the window had become my second office, where I spent most of my spare time working on that old laptop. That day, I was editing a new marketing video when the laptop froze hard. Screen locked, cursor stuck, fan screaming. Not the first time it acted up, but the timing couldn't have been worse. 3 unsaved hours of work gone. Then a male voice came from the table next to me. "Looks like your computer's having a rough day." I looked up to see a guy in his early 30s, gray hoodie, warm brown eyes, friendly smile, the kind that felt genuine. "Yeah, it's old," I sighed, "and I'm not exactly in a place to buy a new one." The second I said it, I regretted oversharing with a stranger. "I'm Jordan Martinez," he said, offering his hand. "I see you working here a lot. Looks like you've got something interesting going on." "Madison Parker." I shook his hand, noticing the warmth and firmness of his grip. "I'm trying to build a little business, but it's not going so well." Jordan nodded, no judgment in his eyes. "I've been there. Starting out's always harder than people think." Something in his voice made me believe him. Curious, I asked, "You do business too?" "Used to," he smiled. "Sold 2 startups in the last 5 years. Now I'm taking a break and figuring out the next thing." My heart skipped. Was I actually talking to someone legit? We talked for half an hour about business, marketing, and startup struggles. Jordan never acted like a know-it-all. He listened, asked smart questions about my model. "So your course focuses on marketing for small businesses?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "Most small business owners can't afford big agencies, but they don't know how to market themselves either. I want to make something practical and affordable for them." Jordan nodded thoughtfully. "That's a solid insight. The market's there. The challenge might be in how you're reaching them." "What do you mean?" I asked, leaning in. "Instead of pitching directly to busy owners who are skeptical of online courses, you may need to build trust first. Content marketing, case studies, maybe even doing some free work to get testimonials." It was like a light went off in my head. He pointed out a blind spot I hadn't seen. "You're right," I admitted. "I've been so focused on making the product, I forgot about building the relationship." "That's a common mistake," Jordan chuckled. "I made the same one with my first startup." As the coffee shop started closing, Jordan surprised me with an offer. "Madison, I see your passion. If you're open to it, I can introduce you to a few people in my network, small business owners who need marketing support. No promises, just coffee chats so you can hear their pain points." I was grateful but also cautious. "Why would you help me?" I asked. He thought for a second, then said honestly, "Because when I was where you are 3 years ago, someone helped me for no reason. I believe good karma comes back around." And honestly, I think you've got real potential, you just need the right guidance. Those words lit something in me. After months of doubt and rejection, someone finally believed in me. The next week, Jordan kept his word. He introduced me to 3 small business owners: Sarah Kim, who ran a salon and wanted more clients; Mike Rodriguez, who owned an auto shop and was lost in digital marketing; and Emma Thompson, who baked artisan bread and wanted to sell online. Those coffee chats gave me priceless insight into my audience's mindset. Sarah told me she'd been burned by an agency, so she didn't trust quick promises. Mike admitted he was totally lost and needed the basics explained. Emma wanted to market but had no time for complex concepts. After those talks, I knew I had to change my whole approach. Instead of selling a generic course, I'd build free content to earn trust, then offer consulting before selling courses. Jordan didn't just make introductions. He kept stopping by Grind Coffee in the afternoons. Not to check up, but to chat and share perspectives whenever I hit walls. "How do you know what content will resonate with people?" I asked him one rainy afternoon. He set his cup down. "I learned to stop guessing and start listening. Join Facebook groups where your audience hangs out. Read Yelp reviews. Watch competitor comments. People tell you what they care about, you just have to pay attention." "And that's so time-consuming," I sighed. "Yeah," Jordan nodded. "But it's the foundation. You can't build a house without a strong base." That advice gave me clarity. By the end of September, after 3 weeks of applying his suggestions, I saw small but real changes. My blog posts got comments. My videos had higher engagement. Most importantly, I started getting inquiries from potential clients. One Friday night, after closing hours, Jordan got us permission to stay and finish a talk. I finally asked the question I'd been holding back. "Jordan, why do you spend time with me? You're already successful. You could do anything. Why bother with a struggling entrepreneur like me?" He was quiet, looking out at the steady Seattle rain. Then he said, "Because when I was your age, I sat in a coffee shop just like this, feeling like the world was against me. A mentor I met by pure chance changed my whole trajectory just by believing in me when no one else did." My chest tightened. Maybe this wasn't random at all. Maybe this was one of those life-shaping moments. "And more than that," he added, "I see something in you most entrepreneurs don't have: real persistence. You've survived the worst months and didn't quit. You can't teach that." I swallowed hard, holding back emotion. For the first time in months, someone actually saw value in me. "Thank you," I whispered. "You don't know how much that means." "Don't thank me yet," Jordan grinned. "The real work's just beginning." Right then, I knew this chance meeting was a turning point. Not just because of his knowledge or contacts, but because, for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was walking this road alone. October rolled in with golden leaves on Seattle streets and a whole new energy in my life. After 6 weeks of working with Jordan's guidance, I'd put a completely different strategy into play. Instead of trying to sell my course right away, I focused on creating free, valuable content. Every week, I published 2 in-depth blog posts on topics like how to boost foot traffic for local businesses using social media and 5 common Facebook ad mistakes small business owners make. These posts weren't the surface-level fluff I used to crank out. Thanks to insights from Sarah, Mike, and Emma, I knew exactly what pain points my target audience struggled with, and I could address them with specific, practical solutions. Jordan also introduced me to the concept of a value ladder, guiding customers from free content to low-cost offers, then to the main product. "Think of it like dating," he explained one afternoon at Grind Coffee. "You don't propose marriage on the first date. You build the relationship, earn trust, then move toward commitment." That analogy hit me hard. I finally understood why my old approach wasn't working. With that mindset, I created my first lead magnet, the Local Business Owner's Guide to Social Media Marketing. A 60-page PDF packed with actionable tips and templates owners could use right away. All they had to do was give me their email. In the first week, I got 23 subscribers. Not huge, but these weren't random site visitors, they were people genuinely interested in my content. Better yet, they engaged. They replied to emails, asked questions, and shared specific struggles in their businesses. For the first time, I felt like I was building a community instead of shouting into the void. One of the first subscribers was David Chen, who ran a family restaurant in Chinatown. He emailed me after downloading the guide. Madison, I found your guide really helpful. My restaurant struggles with online presence. We've got great food but rely mostly on walk-ins. Could you suggest a few strategies for food businesses? My heart raced with excitement. This was exactly the kind of engagement I'd been hoping for. Instead of just emailing back, I turned his question into a detailed case study for the blog. I researched his restaurant, analyzed their online presence, and built a comprehensive plan with specific tactics. The post, How a Family Restaurant Can Triple Its Customer Base Using Free Social Media Tools, got a great response. David appreciated being featured, and other restaurant owners reached out with similar challenges. Within 2 weeks, my email list grew to 50 subscribers, with surprisingly high engagement. People started sharing my content, tagging friends, and referring me to other owners. Jordan noticed the progress and smiled. Madison, now you see the difference between push marketing and pull marketing. Instead of chasing customers, they're coming to you. His words filled me with pride and a new level of confidence. By the end of October, I felt ready to launch my first paid product. But instead of an expensive course, I started small. A 2-hour online workshop priced at $99, the complete social media audit for small businesses. The workshop promised to teach participants how to evaluate their social presence, identify opportunities, and build a clear action plan. Affordable price, manageable time, clear value. I announced it to my email list on Monday, with registration closing Friday and the workshop scheduled for Sunday. Day 1, 3 signups. Tuesday, 5 more. Wednesday, 4. Thursday, 6. Friday morning, the last 2 spots. 20 total. $1,980 revenue. When I saw the number, my heart stopped, then raced like crazy. It wasn't just about the money, though $1,900 was the most I'd ever made from my business. It was about validation. 20 people trusted me enough to pay for my expertise. I immediately called Jordan. Jordan, got a minute? I have amazing news. He laughed, hearing the excitement in my voice. I'm at the office, but go ahead, what's up? My workshop sold out. 20 people registered. That's fantastic, Madison. I could feel his enthusiasm through the phone. Do you realize your conversion rate? From 50 subscribers, 20 bought. That's nearly 40%. That's incredible for a first paid offer. Hearing him break it down like that gave me a professional kind of validation I'd never felt before. The real test came when I decided to share the news with my family. I called home Friday night, knowing they'd all be together for dinner. I've got good news, I told my mom when she picked up. What is it? She asked, cautious but hopeful. My first online workshop sold out. 20 people signed up. I made almost $2,000 this week. Silence on the line for a few seconds. Then Mom said, That's nice, honey. But $2,000 for the whole week still isn't a stable salary. The joy inside me cracked. Can you call Dad and Tyler and Ashley over so I can tell them too? I asked, forcing cheer. Sure, she said. Brandon, Tyler, Ashley. Madison's got something to say. Oh, when they gathered, I repeated the news. My dad's response. 2,000. How much is that per hour? Dad, it's not about hourly wage. It's about creating something valuable that people are willing to pay for. But Madison, Ashley cut in, 2,000 won't cover bills for a month. My salary at the firm is 10 grand monthly, stable and predictable. I felt shoved back to square one. Tyler piled on, and this is just one good week. How do you know about next week? Or next month? If income isn't consistent, you can't call it success. You don't get it, I tried to explain. This is just the beginning. I'm building the foundation for long-term success. Rome wasn't built in a day. Sweetheart, Dad said patiently, but in that patronizing tone, I know you're excited, but the reality is you're still working 2 part-time jobs just to survive. That's not success. No, Mom suggested, maybe treat this as a side hustle and find a stable full-time job. You can keep your online business in your spare time. Or, Ashley added, use this experience to apply for a corporate marketing job. I can connect you with HR at my firm. I hung up with mixed feelings. Part of me understood their concern $2,000 wasn't a sustainable income, but another part of me burned with frustration. They missed the point entirely. This wasn't about the money. It was about validation. About momentum. about proving that an unconventional path could work if done right. That night, I texted Jordan about the call. "They don't get the journey," he replied. "They only see the snapshot, not the trajectory. That's why most entrepreneurs feel lonely people around them can't see the possibilities you see." Reading that, I felt understood in a way my family never gave me. The next Sunday, I ran the workshop. 20 participants on Zoom, fully engaged. I walked them through auditing their social presence, shared tools, and answered questions live. The energy in the virtual room was electric. Afterward, I got thank you emails, requests for advanced workshops, 3 one-on-one bookings, and 2 people asking about a full course. Most importantly, I realized I loved this. Teaching, helping owners solve problems, it wasn't just about money. It was a purpose. At the end of October, the numbers told a clear story. Email list, from 0 to 80 subscribers. Blog traffic, from 50 views divided by month to 3,000. Revenue, from $0 to $2,200 including consultations. And most importantly, a small but engaged community of business owners who trusted me. Jordan and I celebrated at a nicer restaurant than our usual coffee spot. "Madison, you've cracked the wall of skepticism," he said as we toasted. "Not just in the market, but in yourself. You've proven this works." "But my family still doesn't believe," I admitted. Jordan leaned in, voice steady. "Success will speak louder than their words. But first, you've got to believe enough to keep building. This crack will turn into a breakthrough if you keep pushing." Looking at the growth, the testimonials, and Jordan's unwavering support, I knew I'd found something real. In that moment, I glimpsed a future where these small cracks would turn into wide-open doors even my family couldn't ignore. November came with a whole new kind of pressure. After the success of my first workshop, I felt like I was standing at a crossroads. Either this momentum would take me to the next level, or it would fizzle out like my past attempts. The difference this time was that the pressure wasn't just from me anymore. 20 participants from the workshop expected follow-up content. My email list had grown to 120, and they expected value every week. And most of all, that call with my family had lit an almost obsessive determination to prove them wrong. "I'm going to show them $2,000 was just the beginning," I told Jordan one morning at Grind Coffee. "Next month I'll double it. The month after that, double again." "Oh?" Jordan gave me a look that was part encouragement, part concern. "That's great ambition, but sustainable growth usually isn't that linear. Are you sure you're not putting too much pressure on yourself?" "Pressure's what I need," I shot back. "I've been comfortable too long. Now it's time to push hard." After that, I cranked my schedule to extremes. If I'd been working 12 hours a day before, now it was 16. If I used to post 2 blogs a week, now it is 5. 2 hours a day on social media engagement turned into 4. My new routine looked like this. 4:30 a.m. Wake up, coffee, check overnight emails. 5:09. Write content, film videos, research topics. 9:01. Engage on social, respond to comments, reach out to prospects. 1:02. Quick lunch, usually a protein bar and coffee. 2:05. Develop course materials, worksheets, presentations. 5:30. Shift at Rosie's Diner. Midnight. 1:00. Final email check. Plan the next day. 3 hours of sleep a night. But I convinced myself it was a temporary sacrifice. At first, the results were insane. Week 1, I pushed out 5 solid blog posts, 3 video tutorials, and launched a $59 mini course. Advanced Facebook advertising for local businesses. 40 people bought it that week, pulling in $2,360. Add in consultation fees and affiliate commissions, and November revenue hit nearly $5,000. For the first time, I felt like I could legitimately call this financial success. But it came with a price. By week 3, warning signs started flashing. My hands shook when I held my morning coffee. My eyes burned from dryness. Constant stomach aches from bad food and stress. Worse, I started losing perspective. Jordan invited me to dinner one Friday to celebrate the $5 Kelvin's milestone. I declined, wanting to work on course content instead. "When's the last time you took a night fully off?" he asked after my third cancellation that week. I'll rest after I hit $10 kelvins a month, I said without hesitation. Right now, momentum's everything. I can't slow down. Jordan was quiet, then said softly, Madison, I get your drive, but burnout's real. Success is a marathon, not a sprint. That's true for most people, I replied, arrogance slipping in. But I've wasted too much time. My family's waiting for me to fail. I'll prove them wrong no matter what it takes. He gave me a look I couldn't quite read, part concern, maybe disappointment. That obsession with proving them wrong started bleeding into everything. Instead of focusing on sustainable growth and customer satisfaction, I cared only about numbers that might impress my family. A client asked for a consultation but only had $200 instead of my usual $300 rate. Old Madison would have negotiated or adjusted the service. New Madison shut it down immediately. Not worth it. A subscriber emailed a thoughtful question about content strategy. Old Madison would have written a detailed reply. New Madison sent a generic link to my paid course. I was treating people like rows in a spreadsheet, not real humans with real struggles. By week 4, my body rebelled. One morning, I woke up and literally couldn't get out of bed. Not from laziness, not from lack of willpower, my body just shut down. Spinning head, nausea, bone-deep exhaustion, burnout. I called in sick to both jobs and spent the whole day drifting in and out of restless sleep. That evening, Jordan texted, Haven't heard from you today? Everything okay? Instead of admitting weakness, I typed back, Just focused. Big project deadline. Seconds later, my phone rang. Jordan. Madison, he said, voice firm. I'm coming over. We need to talk. Relief washed over me. Someone cared enough to intervene. He showed up with Thai takeout and a determined look. One glance at me, messy hair, dark circles, trembling hands, and he shook his head. Madison, this has to stop. What has to stop? I snapped defensively. I'm making the best progress of my life. Look at yourself, he said gently but firmly. When's the last time you actually smiled? When's the last time you enjoyed the process instead of just obsessing over results? I froze. I couldn't remember. The past few weeks had been a blur of deadlines, numbers, and fear of letting people down. I need this, I whispered, walls finally cracking. They're waiting for me to fail. If I slow down, if I lose momentum, so what? Jordan cut in softly. So they'll say, told you so? Madison, you're sacrificing your health, happiness, and relationships just to prove a point to people who don't even understand your journey. Tears spilled before I could stop them. But I'm so close. $5,000 a month, it's the first real money I've ever made from this. Oh, and that's incredible, Jordan said. But it's worthless if it destroys you in the process. Success is supposed to enhance your life, not replace it. Over takeout, Jordan helped me see what I'd lost. Creating content had turned into a chore instead of a passion. I was damaging client relationships by treating them like transactions. I'd isolated myself from friends, even from Jordan. Worst of all, I'd lost sight of my original purpose, helping small businesses succeed. Madison, he said at the end, real success isn't about proving people wrong. It's about building a life you actually want, with people you care about, doing work that means something to you. That night, I made changes. Cut my schedule from 16 hours to 10. Instituted a no-work Sundays rule. Most importantly, I shifted focus back to serving clients instead of chasing revenue. Ironically, stepping back made things better. Clients responded more to the authentic me than the pushy version. My content quality improved without the frantic pace. Subscribers engaged more when I treated them like a community instead of revenue streams. December came, and even with fewer hours, revenue climbed to $7,000 more than in November. By the end of the year, I realized something crucial. The drive to prove others wrong can fuel you, but unchecked, it can consume you. The only success that lasts is the kind built on purpose, not fear. For the first time, I understood this journey wasn't just about hitting financial milestones. It was about learning how to keep my humanity and my relationships intact along the way. The new year came with snow blanketing Seattle and a completely different kind of energy in my business. After learning the lesson of balance last month, I went into January with a sustainable strategy but still kept my ambitions high. It had been 5 months since that very first workshop with 20 people. Now, My email list has grown to 800 subscribers. I'd run 12 workshops with more than 200 participants total, and monthly revenue consistently landed between $8 kelvins and $10 kelvins. But more important than the numbers, I'd built a reputation in the local business community. Word-of-mouth referrals made up 60% of my new clients. Testimonials from successful campaigns spoke louder than any ad I could buy. One standout story was David Chen's restaurant, the same David who had emailed me back in the early days. After implementing strategies from our consultation, his restaurant saw a 30% bump in foot traffic and a 150% increase in online orders. David became a repeat client and referred 5 other business owners to me. Madison transformed our business, David said in a video testimonial I now use in my marketing. She understands the challenges small business owners face and gives us practical solutions we can use right away. By February, I felt ready for the next big step. Launching my comprehensive online course, The Complete Social Media Marketing System for Small Business Owners. This would be my premium offer, priced at $999, bigger and more in-depth than anything I'd created before. The course included 8 modules, 20-plus videos, templates, worksheets, a private Facebook group, and monthly group coaching calls. I'd spent 3 months developing it, testing with a beta group, and polishing every detail. Jordan backed me all the way. You've proven demand. You've got testimonials and case studies. It's time to scale. I kicked off the pre-launch in early March with a week-long content series, The 5 Biggest Mistakes Small Business Owners Make with Social Media Marketing. Each day, I released one mistake, explained it, and offered a mini solution. The response was overwhelming. Blog traffic spiked to 20,000 views that week. My email list grew by 100 new subscribers per day. Social media engagement exploded with hundreds of shares and comments. Launch day, the second Monday in March, I woke at 5 a.m., buzzing with excitement and nerves. This was it. Almost a year of building had led to this. Was the market ready to invest? At 9 a.m. Pacific, the launch email went out. I drafted it 10 times, A divided by B, tested subject lines, and double-checked every link. The first sale came at 9:12 a.m. from Sarah Kim, the salon owner Jordan had introduced me to months ago. It felt poetic that my very first buyer was someone who had believed in me before I was proven. By noon, 12 sales. By the end of the day, 24. Day 1 revenue, $21,716. I stared at the number on my laptop, stunned. In a single day, I'd made more than 6 months of tips at Rosie's Diner. And it was only the beginning. Within a week, students were sharing wins in the Facebook group. Emma Thompson, the bakery owner, emailed me, Madison, after following Module 2, my online orders jumped 60% in just 1 week. I can't believe it. Mike Rodriguez from the auto shop posted, Guys, the local search strategy from Module 3 is insane. 15 new customer calls in 2 weeks from Google. End of 4. Those early wins created a viral effect. Students referred friends and colleagues. Local business associations invited me to speak. Media outlets reached out for interviews. By the end of March, I had sold 103 courses. Revenue for the month, $200 kelvins. The number felt surreal. I thought back to nights eating ramen because I couldn't afford groceries, walking to the store because I had no gas money. Now I've made in 1 month more than most people earn in a year. April brought an opportunity I'd never dared to dream about. Rebecca Martinez, VP of Learning and Development at TechFlow Solutions, a consulting firm with 500 employees across the Pacific Northwest, reached out on LinkedIn. Madison, we reviewed your course and client testimonials. We're interested in licensing your platform to train our marketing teams. Can we schedule a call? My heart pounded. A corporate licensing deal, the holy grail for entrepreneurs. On our call, Rebecca explained their struggle. They'd tried other training programs, but the content was too generic and not practical enough. Your course has exactly what we need, she said. Real strategies with real case studies. Our teams need to understand the small business perspective to better serve clients. Negotiations were intense but thrilling. TechFlow wanted exclusive rights in the Pacific Northwest, with custom B2B modules and quarterly training sessions. Jordan coached me through the process, making sure I didn't undervalue my work or overcommit. Remember, he said, this isn't just about the immediate paycheck. This is credibility. A case study for future corporate deals. After 2 weeks, we signed $350,000 upfront licensing fee, $2,000 per employee trained, minimum $200 per year. Fim, nul, month retainer for ongoing updates. 2-year contract value, nearly $800 kelvins. The day I signed, sitting in a downtown law office with my brand new attorney, I had a surreal flashback. 18 months earlier, I'd been crying on the floor of my studio apartment after losing $5,000 to a scam. Now I was signing a deal worth nearly $1 million. It wasn't just about the money, though. The financial security was life-changing. It was about validation. The same corporate world my family wanted me to join as an employee was now paying me a premium for the knowledge I'd built on my own terms. That night, Jordan and I celebrated at the Metropolitan Grill, a place we never could have afforded before. Over wine and steak, we looked back. Madison, do you realize you went from struggling freelancer to six-figure entrepreneur with a corporate client in under a year? Jordan said, raising his glass. Sometimes I still can't believe it's real, I admitted. 18 months ago, my family said I was wasting my time with an internet business. Now a 500-person company wants me to train their staff. That's the power of persistence and the right strategy, Jordan smiled. And the fact that you stayed true to your mission of helping business owners. That's why success came. News of the TechFlow deal spread fast. The local paper ran a feature. Local entrepreneur lands major corporate contract. The Seattle Business Journal named me to their 30 under 30 rising stars. Conference invitations poured in. And then came the reaction I didn't expect. My family. The calls increased, not congratulations, but advice. Tyler called, "Congrats on the success. I'm looking into real estate investments, want to go in together?" Ashley called, "I'm proud of you. By the way, I have a friend who's a business lawyer if you need help with expansion." Even Aunt Patricia, the one who once said I needed a reality check, called to catch up and mentioned her son was looking for a marketing internship. But the most telling call came from my parents. "Honey," Dad said, his tone completely different from 8 months ago. "We're very proud of you. We should talk about investment strategies for all this income." "Thanks, Dad," I replied carefully. "I've already hired a financial advisor to handle that." "Oh," he paused. "Well, if you need any advice, we're here." That's when I realized success had shifted family dynamics in ways I wasn't fully prepared for. By the end of April, my year-to-date revenue projection topped $1.2 million. I had officially become a millionaire entrepreneur. Sitting in my new office space on Capitol Hill, no longer working from coffee shops, I reflected on how far I'd come. I knew this was the point of no return. This wasn't luck or a temporary spike. This was the foundation for something much bigger. And most importantly, I'd proven not just to my family, but to myself that the unconventional path could lead to extraordinary results. May came with an invitation I'd avoided for 2 years. "Madison, it's your dad's birthday this month. We want to organize a big family dinner to celebrate. Can you come home?" The email from my mom landed on a Tuesday afternoon while I was reviewing quarterly reports in my new office. April revenue had just closed at $310 kelvins. The TechFlow contract was officially signed. Media coverage of my success story was still pulling in fresh leads every day. The timing couldn't have been more perfect or more intimidating. 2 years ago, I'd sat at that table like a defendant in court. Now I'd return as... what? The winner? The one who proved them wrong, or just Madison with a bigger bank account? "Do you have to go?" Jordan asked when I showed him the email. "I think I do," I said. "Not because I owe them anything, but because I need this closure for myself." The week before dinner, I prepared as if it were a business presentation. Not to prove anything, but to show up as my authentic self, successful without arrogance, confident without bitterness. I picked my outfit carefully. A simple, elegant Nordstrom dress. Not flashy, but clearly expensive. My brand new Tesla Model S would be parked outside, subtle but impossible to miss. Saturday evening, as I pulled into my parents' driveway, memories washed over me. The house was the same 2-story suburban box, but I wasn't the same girl walking through that door. Before I could knock, my mom opened it with the brightest smile I'd ever seen from her. "Madison, you look amazing." She hugged me tighter than usual. "We're so excited to hear about all your success." The enthusiasm stung a little satisfaction mixed with sadness. Inside, the scene was familiar but surreal. Tyler is arranging chairs. Ashley is setting the table, and Dad is fussing with the lights. But the energy was different. No dismissive glances, no patronizing smirks, just nervous anticipation. Madison. Tyler stood as soon as he saw me. We read about the TechFlow contract in Business Journal. Incredible achievement. Thanks, Tyler, I said with a measured smile. Ashley approached, her enthusiasm aimed at me for the first time. I'm so impressed with everything you've done. Honestly, I underestimated you. Her admission hit me like a cocktail of vindication and regret for all the lost years. Finally, my dad came over, extending his hand like we were business partners. Honey, I'm very proud. I always knew you had special potential. The words made me flinch. My brain instantly replayed every time he'd introduced me as still figuring herself out. Dinner quickly turned into a Q&A about my business. How many employees do you manage now? Tyler. What's your revenue projection? Ashley. Are you planning to expand into other markets? Dad. How are you investing the money? Mom. I answered politely, but it felt like I was performing. They were fascinated by the success but skipped over the journey, the ramen dinners, the burnout, the nights I almost gave up. Then the tone shifted. Tyler talked about refinancing his mortgage. Ashley mentioned her student loans are still draining her salary. My parents discussed retirement savings. And suddenly, the questions turned personal. Madison, Tyler leaned in. Got any advice on real estate? I'm considering a duplex as a rental, but the down payment. Hey, Ashley cut in. If you need legal counsel for expansion, my firm has a great corporate division. Uncle Kevin jumped in as soon as he arrived. Madison, I've got a friend with several restaurants. He's looking for a consultant. I can connect you. It clicked, crystal clear. They weren't celebrating me. They were positioning themselves to benefit. The breaking point came when Aunt Patricia, the same one who once said I needed a reality check, smiled and said, My son's graduating business school next year. Maybe you could hire him as an intern? My chest tightened. My mind went blank. All these offers are interesting, I said slowly. But I have one question. 2 years ago, when I was struggling and needed support, no one in this family believed in my vision. Now that I'm successful, suddenly everyone wants to be involved. Why? Silence blanketed the room. Awkward glances. Shifting in seats. Dad cleared his throat. Madison, we always supported you. Maybe we just didn't express it the right way. Dad, I cut in gently but firmly. At Ashley's wedding, you introduced me as still figuring herself out. When I made my first $2,000, everyone said it wasn't real success. When I worked 2 jobs to survive while building my business, no one offered encouragement. Ashley jumped in, defensive. We were just worried about your financial stability. We wanted to protect you from failure. Protect me? I gave a small, sad laugh. Ashley, protection sounds like, how can we help? Not you should get a real job. Support sounds like, we believe in you. Not, this will never work. Tyler tried to smooth it over. You're right. We could have been more supportive. But maybe we can make up for lost time. By asking for favors? I raised an eyebrow. In the first 30 minutes I've been here, I've had requests for investment advice, business referrals, jobs, and legal work. Not one person has asked how I felt about this journey, or if I'm happy with my life. The air got heavy. Everyone knew this was the defining moment. Madison, Mom said softly, tears forming. We're family. Families help each other. Mom? I said, steady but calm. Family helps each other during the struggles, not just after the success. Family believes in each other's dreams, not mocks them. Family celebrates the journey, not just the outcome. The room went quiet. Forks scraping plates were the only sound. Finally, Dad said, maybe we made mistakes in how we expressed our concerns. But our intentions were good. Intentions might have been good, I replied. But the impact was devastating. Some nights I almost gave up not because business was hard, but because I felt like a failure in my own family's eyes. Mom whispered through tears. We never wanted to hurt you. But you did, I said gently. And what hurts most is that now I'm successful. Suddenly I'm valuable. My worth in this family seems tied directly to my bank account. The silence stretched long and uncomfortable. Tyler finally said, maybe we can start over. Clean slate? I thought carefully. Tyler, I appreciate that. But starting over means forgetting the lessons I don't want to forget. Those experiences taught me resilience, how to choose supporters wisely, and the value of authentic relationships. Ashley asked, "So where does that leave us?" "It leaves us honest," I said. "I love you all, but I see the limits of this support system. Moving forward, I'll treat family relationships like I treat any personal relationship based on mutual respect and genuine care, not obligation or financial gain." Dad nodded slowly. "That seems fair." "It's more than fair, Dad. It's necessary. I spent too many years chasing approval from people who didn't understand my path. Now I surround myself with people who believe in the vision, not just celebrate the results." When dinner ended, the goodbyes were awkward but not hostile. Hugs exchanged, vague plans made. But everyone knew the dynamic had shifted for good. Driving home through the city lights, I felt no thrill in winning the argument, no smug satisfaction. Just sadness for what could have been and relief that I had finally spoken my truth. In that moment, I knew real success isn't about proving people wrong. It's about building a life true to your values, surrounded by people who support your journey from the beginning, not just the destination. The week after that dinner, my phone started ringing in a whole new way, not with prospective clients or business partners like usual, but with family members bringing a mix of opportunities and requests. Tyler was first. His voice was carefully casual. "Madison, I've been thinking about our conversation. I realize maybe I didn't express enough appreciation for all your hard work. Anyway, I wanted to revisit that investment opportunity I mentioned." The shift in tone was clear. The power dynamic had changed and none of us were ready for it. "Tyler," I interrupted gently, "we need new boundaries. I appreciate your concern about family finances, but mixing business and family rarely ends well." "But listen," he pressed. "This is a win-win. You've got capital. I've got real estate knowledge. Together we could—" "Tyler," I said firmly, "the answer is no. Not because I don't trust your business sense, but because I want to preserve our relationship." Silence. Then a reluctant, "Okay, I get it, but if you change your mind, I'll let you know." I ended the call politely but definitively. Ashley took a different approach. She invited me for coffee to catch up like sisters. At an upscale cafe downtown, she spent 30 minutes sharing life updates, work frustrations, and asking thoughtful questions about my business. "Madison, I really admire your resilience," she said, with sincerity I wanted to believe. "I guess I was too focused on traditional careers to appreciate an unconventional path like yours." For a moment, I felt hope maybe we could rebuild. Then came the pivot. "Speaking of careers, I've been thinking about leaving the firm to start my own practice. With your business expertise and my legal background, maybe we could explore a partnership." And just like that, the hope collapsed. "Ashley," I said softly, sadness clear in my voice. "This is exactly what I meant at dinner. I'm your sister, not a business opportunity." She flushed. "Madison, you misunderstood. I genuinely value our relationship. If you value it," I cut in, "then focus on rebuilding trust before pitching partnerships." My parents were the most persistent, though their tactics were subtler. Suddenly, there were more dinner invites. Birthday cards showed up with handwritten notes about how proud they were. They even redecorated my childhood bedroom. "Just in case you want to stay overnight." Mom would slip financial worries into casual conversation. "Sweetheart, our retirement savings just aren't enough with inflation. We've been thinking about downsizing." Dad mentioned medical bills more and more. "Insurance doesn't cover like it used to, honey. Doctor visits are expensive." The implication was obvious. Their successful daughter should step in. Jordan watched all this with a mix of concern and dry humor. "Classic family wealth syndrome," he said. "They don't see you as just family anymore, they see you as a potential ATM." "That's harsh," I admitted, "but not inaccurate. I feel like they're testing how far they can push my generosity." "The real question," Jordan said, "is what kind of relationship you want with them. Transactional or authentic?" That hit me hard. So I decided to have individual conversations and set boundaries clearly. With Tyler, I was direct. "I appreciate the invite to invest, but I've decided to keep business and family separate. I want us to be brothers, not business partners." He resisted. "Isn't family supposed to help each other succeed financially? Helping emotionally is different from mixing money. I'll always be here for you as a brother." but we should stay financially independent. He eventually accepted, though disappointed. With Ashley, I was careful but firm. Lately, every time we talk, a business proposal comes up. That's not a foundation for sisterhood. Madison, collaboration makes sense. You're successful in business, I'm successful in law. Collaboration happens organically. Between equals, I said. This feels like you trying to leverage me. That's not sisterhood, that's opportunism. You're accusing me of being opportunistic? She snapped. I'm pointing out a pattern. If you want to rebuild trust, it has to be about genuine care, not leverage. With my parents, the hardest conversation of all. Mom, Dad, I've noticed the constant mentions of financial strain. If you need help, just ask directly. Don't hint. They exchanged looks. Mom said, "We don't want to burden you." Indirect hints create more pressure than being upfront, I explained. If you need help with specific medical bills, I'll consider it. But ongoing support is a different matter. Dad cleared his throat. We raised you and your siblings. We invested in your education. Maybe now it's time you return the favor. Anger bubbled, but I stayed calm. Dad, raising kids isn't an investment expecting ROI. I'm grateful for my upbringing, but my success doesn't mean I owe you financial support. Madison, Mom said through tears, we've always loved you. Love and money are separate. I love you too. But the timing suddenly needing help right after learning about my income makes me question the motivation. We settled on a practical compromise. I'd help cover specific medical expenses if necessary, but not ongoing lifestyle costs. They agreed, reluctantly. The extended family was a whole new circus. Cousin Emma, a doctor who once dismissed my internet business, suddenly wanted to brainstorm medical marketing ideas. Uncle Kevin wouldn't stop mentioning restaurant friends who needed consultants. Aunt Patricia, the same one who'd once told me I needed a reality check, now bragged about her entrepreneurial niece at parties and asked for stacks of my business cards. It was eye-opening. Success doesn't just change how you see yourself. It changes how others see you. And not always in a good way. Authentic relationships become rare, Jordan told me one night. The ones who truly care won't expect anything in return. Opportunists always have an agenda. So I made a painful but necessary decision. Conditional engagement. With immediate family, boundaries. No mixing money or business unless it's an emergency. Relationships only if they're based on respect. With extended family, polite distance. Social gatherings, yes. Favors. No. And most importantly, I doubled down on people who had supported me before success, especially Jordan, whose consistency had proven his care was real. Madison, he said weeks later, you seem lighter. I feel like I finally gave myself permission to protect my energy, I told him. Instead of managing everyone else's expectations, I focus on people who respect my choices. And in that moment, I realized something. Real power isn't the ability to hand out money. Real power is choosing the relationships that enrich your life instead of draining it. December. Exactly 1 year after I'd launched my very first course, I sat in a corner office overlooking Elliott Bay and realized I'd lived through a journey I never could have imagined. The numbers told an impressive story. Yearly revenue passed $2.3 million. My team grew from 0 to 8. Office space went from a coffee shop corner to an entire downtown floor. Clients included 50 local businesses and 3 corporate contracts. But the real transformation wasn't in the numbers. It was in the quiet moments, the authentic conversations, and most of all, in my relationship with Jordan, the man who'd gone from unexpected mentor to life partner. Jordan proposed one October evening, not with a grand gesture or flashy ring, but with a simple question that showed how deeply he understood our journey. Madison, we've built a beautiful life together. Do you want to make it official? We didn't celebrate with a huge family party like Ashley's wedding. Instead, we had an intimate dinner with close friends, the people who had been there through the struggles and who celebrated the milestones that mattered. Planning the wedding made me realize how much my perspective on family had changed. When I told them about the engagement, reactions were mixed. They were excited about the wedding, but disappointed not to be part of the planning. Madison, Mom said on the phone, we hoped this would be a family affair. So many relatives want to attend. Mom, I replied gently but firmly. Jordan and I decided on a small ceremony. Just close friends and immediate family. We want it focused on our commitment, not impressing a crowd. But honey, Dad added on the extension line, this is a chance to show the community your success. A grand wedding could be good for your business image. My heart sank. Even here, they viewed my life through the lens of business advantage. Dad, my wedding day isn't a marketing opportunity, I said, sad more than angry. It's a celebration of love. We married at a small vineyard outside Seattle with 30 guests. Family came, but they didn't dominate. The focus was entirely on Jordan and me, surrounded by people who genuinely cared about our happiness. The most meaningful moment wasn't the ceremony itself, but a reception speech from David Chen, the restaurant owner who'd become a friend through business. Madison, he said, voice full of gratitude, you didn't just help our business grow. You showed us that success is possible with the right guidance and persistence. You're living proof that an unconventional path can lead to extraordinary results. Doll. Hearing those words, surrounded by people whose lives I'd truly touched, I realized this was the sound of success, not applause from doubters, but appreciation from those whose lives were better because of my work. Our honeymoon in a quiet Oregon coastal town gave me my first real break in 3 years. No phones, no emails, no business calls, just Jordan and me, walking on the beach, talking about our future. Madison, he said one evening as we watched the sunset, have you noticed your smile's different now? It's not the smile of someone trying to prove something. It's the smile of someone at peace with herself. He was right. Somewhere along the way, I'd stopped chasing validation. I found fulfillment in the work itself. When we got back, I made a huge decision about the business. No more chasing aggressive growth just to impress my family or hit arbitrary revenue goals. I chose sustainable growth focused on impact, not profit. That meant starting a scholarship fund for struggling entrepreneurs, launching a mentorship program to connect experienced owners with beginners, and most importantly, keeping the work-life balance I'd nearly destroyed. 3 months later, my commitment was tested. A big San Francisco firm offered to acquire my company for $8.5 million. It would have made me extremely wealthy, but I'd lose control of everything I'd built. My family's reaction was predictable, pure excitement. Madison, Tyler said, this is your lottery ticket, you have to take it. Ashley chimed in, $8.5 million. You could retire, travel, do whatever you want. My parents agreed, focusing only on the financial security the deal promised. But Jordan's perspective cut through. Madison, this isn't about the money. It's about the life you want to build. Money's just a tool. Purpose is the foundation. After long talks with him and a lot of soul-searching, I declined the offer. My family was disappointed, of course. You're crazy to turn down an opportunity like that, Tyler declared. Maybe, I said. But sometimes crazy choices lead to extraordinary outcomes. My success isn't measured by the size of my bank account, but by the impact I make. Instead of selling, I expanded on my terms. I opened a second office in Portland, launched an affordable online education platform for entrepreneurs nationwide, and started a foundation to provide microloans and mentorship to women starting businesses. It didn't generate splashy headlines like a big acquisition would have, but it aligned with my values. A year later, sitting in the same corner office, watching the rain over Elliott Bay, I opened an email that changed everything. It was from a young woman in Phoenix, named Sarah Martinez. Madison, I followed your course and launched my bakery 6 months ago. Today, I earned enough to quit my day job and bake full-time. Thank you not just for the practical knowledge, but for inspiring me to chase an unconventional dream. Seeing your success gave me permission to believe in mine. Tears streamed down my face, not from sadness or frustration, but from fulfillment. That right there was the real sound of success. Not the cheers of family members who finally approved, but the quiet gratitude of someone whose life had changed because I didn't give up. Jordan found me at my desk, still crying. Good news or bad? He asked, worried. The best, I smiled, showing him the email. A reminder of why I started. And why was that? He asked, though he already knew. To prove the unconventional path can work. Not to impress my family, not to make a point, but to create possibilities for people like Sarah. In that moment, sitting beside my husband, in an office I'd built from nothing, surrounded by a team I trusted and clients whose lives were better because of our work, I finally understood what success sounds like. Not applause, no approval, not silencing doubters. Success sounds like peace. The peace of knowing you no longer have to prove anything. The peace of letting your work speak for itself. The peace of living in alignment with your deepest values. That's real success. Not drowning out the noise, but creating harmony in your own life.